Welcome to the Radio Revenue Podcast. We are your guides for today's deep dive. We're taking Procter & Gamble's latest Form 10-K, that's their big annual report for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025, and boiling it down for you. This thing is packed with info on their business, financials, strategy, you name it, our mission. To pull out the really important stuff and help you understand what makes this consumer goods giant tick. Okay, let's kick this off. Procter & Gamble. I mean, this isn't just any company. It's a global powerhouse, right? Amazing history, too. Started way back in 1837 in Cincinnati, formally incorporated in 1905. Just think about that. Longevity. And their reach is massive, selling products in, 180 countries, operations in about 70. So the big question right away is, what's the core business model holding this whole thing together for so long?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And what's fascinating is how consistent their core focus has stayed. It really boils down to providing, trusted, branded products. Things that offer superior quality, performance, value, basically improving consumers' lives. Their model isn't just about selling stuff, it's about sustainable value. They talk about driving balanced top and bottom line growth, which at their scale across all those markets, well, that's no easy feat. They have this concept, irresistible superiority. Sounds like marketing speak, maybe.
A little bit, yeah.
But they actually break it down. It covers 5 things. The product itself, the packaging, how they communicate the brand, how it looks on the shelf, that's retail execution, and of course, value. So they're constantly pumping money into R&D, into understanding consumers. They want to innovate and maybe even create new categories. Then they use all sorts of marketing ads, promotions, the whole deal to build awareness and, really importantly, loyalty, getting you to grab that Tide or Pampers automatically and connecting that to how they actually get products to you. Well, the distribution is key. They have to be everywhere. Mass merchandisers, e-commerce, which is huge now, grocery stores, club stores, drug stores, even direct-to-consumer.
Right, you see them everywhere you shop.
Exactly. And just to give you an idea of how vital those big retailers are, Walmart accounted for about 16% of their total sales last year and the year before. That was up slightly from 15% the year prior. And get this, their top 10 customers. Together, they made up 43% of P&G's total net sales in 2025.
Wow, 43% from just 10 customers. That's
Right.
quite concentrated for such a global company.
It really is. Shows how crucial those relationships are.
Okay, so massive footprint, this focus on irresistibility. How do they actually manage it all? I saw their structure mentioned SBUs, enterprise markets, corporate functions. Sounds complex. How do these pieces fit together, and what are the big product categories we all know?
Yeah, the structure is designed for, well, both global brand consistency and local market agility. They operate around 5 main segments, these sector business units, or SBUs: beauty, grooming, healthcare, fabric and home care, and baby, feminine, and family care. These SBUs are basically the brand guardians globally. They handle strategy, innovation, marketing, supply chain, the whole 9 yards for their brands.
Got it. So which ones are the biggest drivers?
Looking at the sales numbers for fiscal 25, fabric and home care is the leader. It brings in 36% of total net sales. That's the real engine. Then you've got baby, feminine, and family care at 24%, healthcare is 13%, beauty is 10%, and grooming makes up the last 8%. And to put some familiar names to those segments, let's talk market share. Grooming. P&G is a global leader. Think Gillette, Venus razors and blades, they own over 60% of that market globally. That's huge dominance.
Wow, yeah, Gillette is almost synonymous with shaving.
Pretty much. Then, in healthcare, they lead in oral care. Crest and Oral-B give them nearly 30% global share. Plus, they're big in personal health with Vicks, Metamucil, Pepto-Bismol, stuff you definitely recognize.
Oh yeah, staples in the medicine cabinet for sure.
Absolutely. Now, fabric and home care, the biggest segment.
Yeah.
That's everything from Tide and Ariel laundry detergents to Dawn dish soap, Febreze, Swiffer. They lead globally here, too. Over 35% share in fabric care, over 30% in home care. These brands are just part of daily life for millions.
You're not kidding. Tide, Dawn, Febreze. Hard to imagine a home without at least one of those.
Right. And baby, feminine, and family care is also strong. Pampers leads in baby care with over 30% share globally. Always and Tampax give them over 30% share in feminine care.
Right.
They also have Always Discreet for adult incontinence. Their family care brands, like Bounty and Charmin, are mostly North American, but dominate here. Bounty has over 40% share, Charmin over 25%.
Okay.
And finally, beauty. They lead in retail hair care, think Head & Shoulders, Pantene with about 20% share, strong in personal care like Old Spice and Secret, and Olay is a top global skincare brand, though that market is super competitive.
That portfolio is just incredible. So many brands deeply embedded in our lives. But the world keeps changing, right? How does a giant like P&G stay ahead? What are their long-term goals financially, and what's the overall strategy guiding them through all this market flux?
Well, their big ambition is pretty clear. Serve consumers better than anyone else everywhere they compete. And the outcome of that, deliver total shareholder return in the top third of their peer group. To make that happen, they have these 5 interconnected strategies. First, keep a focused portfolio of daily use stuff where performance is why you choose their brand. Second, maintain that irresistible superiority. We talked about product, package, message, shelf, value. Third, constantly find ways to be more productive, more efficient. That frees up cash for investment.
Makes sense.
Fourth is interesting, constructive disruption. Basically, challenging how they do things across the whole value chain, always looking for better ways. And fifth, keep the organization itself lean and effective. They stress that innovation is their lifeblood. Superior products plus superior execution, that's what they believe drives growth and value. And they have a kind of formula for long-term growth. Organic sales growth faster than the market, core EPS that's earnings per share growing mid to high single digits, and adjusted free cash flow productivity of 90% or more.
Okay, so clear targets.
Yeah, it shows they're focused on both growth and financial discipline. Now, looking at fiscal 2025 results, net sales were $84.3 billion, just slightly up from $84 billion the year before. Organic sales, which shows the underlying pulse, grew 2%, kind of low single digits across the board.
I thought it's correct.
But operating income, that jumped 10% to $20.5 billion. And their operating margin went up 220 basis points. It's 2.2 percentage points to 24.3%.
So profitability improved quite a bit.
Exactly. Shows better efficiency, maybe some pricing power. Net earnings were almost $16 billion. Diluted EPS was $6.51. Cash from operations was strong at $17.8 billion. Adjusted free cash flow was $14.6 billion. Now, productivity there was 87%.
Which you said was down from the year before.
Right, down from 105%. But it's important context that dip was partly because of some big charges related to restructuring they were doing.
Gotcha. So underlying profitability looks solid despite the slightly slower top-line growth. And P&G is just legendary for dividends, isn't it? Can you give us the rundown on that and maybe compare how shareholders have done versus the market?
Oh, the dividend record is truly something else. They've paid a dividend for 135 years straight, since 1890. And they've increased it for 69 consecutive years, since 1956. Just incredible consistency.
69 years of increases?
Yep. The dividend per share in 2025 was $4.08. It really speaks to their stability and cash generation. But putting it in perspective, if you invested $100 in P&G back in 2020, it would have grown to $151 by June 30th, 2025. Over that same time, $100 in the S&P 500 index grew to $216. And in their specific sector index, the S&P 500 Consumer Staples, it grew to $170.
Okay, so P&G offers stability and that great dividend, but hasn't quite matched the overall market or even its sector's growth recently.
Exactly. It's often seen as more of a defensive play, reliable, but maybe not explosive growth compared to the broader market sometimes.
That definitely clarifies things. Now, given their global, complex, established, they must be dealing with constant change and challenges. What are some recent moves they've made, and how are they tackling sustainability, both people and planet, which is so important now?
Yeah, they've definitely been making some moves. There was a big restructuring focused on certain markets. The liquidation of their Argentina operations was a major part of that. That led to about $800 million in after-tax charges in fiscal 25 alone, part of a larger $1.2 billion program cost. And related, maybe back in fiscal 24, they took a big hit, a $1.3 billion pre-tax impairment charge on the Gillette brand's intangible asset.
Impairment charge, so they had to write down the value of the Gillette brand.
Essentially, yes. Factors like higher discount rates, weaker currencies, and that restructuring meant the projected future earnings didn't quite support the value they had it booked at. Though even after that charge, the Gillette brand was still valued at $12.8 billion on their books as of June 30, 2025. Still massive, but shows the pressures, right?
It definitely signals shifts in that market.
And looking forward, they announced another plan in June 2025. This one involves $1.5 to $2.6 billion more in pre-tax restructuring costs over 2 years. And notably, it includes reducing up to 7,000 non-manufacturing overhead jobs by the end of fiscal 2027, so more streamlining.
significant headcount reduction.
Yes. Another thing, they decided not to renew their Glad joint venture with Clorox. They expect to get about $500 million in cash from that and book a decent gain in fiscal 2026.
Okay, lots of portfolio adjustments.
Beyond those specific moves, they face the usual big global risks. Foreign exchange is huge, since over half their sales are outside the U.S.
Huh.
Interest rates matter. The Russia-Ukraine war still has an impact, though it was only about 1% of their total business metrics last year. Supply chain volatility is always a concern, especially for stuff derived from oil or paper. And reputation risk, product quality issues, bad press on social media, packaging concerns like plastics.
Right, those can blow up fast these days.
Absolutely. On cybersecurity, they state they have robust systems, a dedicated team, board oversight through the audit committee, an experienced CSO. And crucially, they reported no material cyber threats had hit their business or finances as of the filing date.
It sounds like they're actively managing a lot of moving parts and risks. Okay, so let's shift focus slightly to the people and planet side.
Yeah.
How do they handle their huge workforce, and what's their approach to environmental sustainability?
Their people are obviously fundamental. As of June 30, 2025, they had around 109,000 employees globally. That was actually up 2% from the year before. Almost half, 49%, work in manufacturing. About 28% are based in the U.S. In terms of diversity stats they shared, 42% globally are women, and 32% of their U.S. workforce identify as multicultural. They really emphasize their develop-from-within culture for leaders, trying to nurture talent internally. Plus, competitive pay, benefits, and focusing on an inclusive culture. You kind of have to, with that many people globally.
Yeah, retention must be key.
And on the environment, it seems pretty deeply integrated now. It's not just a side project. They have a big goal. Net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2040. They got a climate transition action plan laying out how they aim to get there. Specific targets include things like buying renewable electricity, cutting down on virgin petroleum plastic and packaging, making more packaging recyclable or reusable, sourcing forest stuff responsibly, using water more efficiently. It seems the overall aim connects back to their core strategy. Their stated goal is designing and making irresistibly superior products that are more sustainable.
Ah, linking sustainability directly back to that irresistible superiority idea. Interesting. That really ties it all together. Okay, for a final thought based on everything we've covered today.
Okay, consider this. P&G has weathered, over 180 years of massive global changes, economic crises, wars, technological revolutions, societal shifts. They keep reinventing themselves but hold on to core values. So when you see this constant cycle, the restructuring like in Argentina, the big brand impairment like with Gillette, the ongoing strategic tweaks, what does that tell us about what it really takes to be resilient as a huge corporation? I mean, it really highlights that even giants like P&G can't just sit still. They have to keep disrupting themselves, constantly adapting to stay relevant and keep delivering value decade after decade in a world where consumer tastes change so fast. It's about the enduring power, but also the constant nurturing of brand value.
It was a Revenue Radio podcast. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated with our latest analyses.